What if the truck that defines American strength for millions is built on a critical weakness elsewhere? We're not talking about a simple recall. We're looking at a fundamental design flaw for an entire continent. A flagship vehicle, celebrated for over 4 decades in its home market, is encountering a crisis of confidence just 2 years into a new territory. This is the story of the American pickup in Australia, a tale of physics, finance, and a series of compromises that put buyers in the driver's seat of a very expensive experiment. The vehicle in question is a legend, the Ford F-150. In the United States, it's a cultural institution and a bestseller. In Australia, it represents a new class of ultra-expensive, luxury utes, with price tags that can mirror a house deposit. For the premium, buyers expect perfection. Yet, in a shockingly short time, this model has been subject to over a dozen official recalls. One of the most alarming involved rear-wheel hub bolts, engineered for local conditions, that could simply snap. Imagine parking your 6-figure investment, only to watch it roll away on its own. This isn't just about parts breaking, it's about a foundational promise being broken. Why is a vehicle with a 43-year legacy of success failing so spectacularly in a new market? The root cause lies in a process that is equal parts engineering and economics, the right-hand drive conversion. Ford does not manufacture a factory right-hand drive version of the F-150 for Australia. Therefore, every single truck must undergo a major transformation after it arrives. This isn't a simple mirror image swap. It's a complex, 500-part reassignment of the vehicle's core systems. Its steering, dashboard, and climate control are all meticulously relocated. Think of it not as a transplant, but as reconfiguring the entire nervous system of a living creature while expecting it to function flawlessly. This surgical friction is where the problems originate. The converted truck becomes a unique hybrid, using parts from smaller models like the Ranger Raptor. The dashboard requires a complete structural redesign. It's within this newly created architecture that vulnerabilities are introduced. While other American trucks like the Ram 1500 and Chevrolet Silverado undergo a similar process, the F-150 stands out for its frequency of issues. Since its Australian launch, its recall rate has been more than double that of its key rivals over a comparable period. This disparity points to a critical decision made long before the first truck ever sailed across the Pacific. That decision was the choice of conversion partner. For a task this delicate, experience with Australia's strict design rules is paramount. The gold standard in this field is a company with over a decade of expertise, the same team behind the successful local adaptations of the Chevy, Ram, and even the new Toyota Tundra. Ford, however, chose a different path. They partnered with RMA Automotive, a global ally of Ford and a major player in Thailand, but one for whom this Australian project was a first. Did Ford prioritize an existing corporate relationship over proven local experience? RMA established a massive, state-of-the-art facility capable of processing 20 vehicles a day. The catch? They were learning Australia's complex compliance standards on the job, with customers' new trucks as the test subjects. The rationale was likely cost. The established expert's process is top-tier but expensive. By opting for a cheaper, partially in-house option through RMA, Ford aimed to keep the F-150's sticker price somewhat competitive against its rivals. On paper, this worked. The Ford is often the cheapest of the American trio on a dealer lot. But this financial calculation appears to have traded upfront savings for long-term reliability and consumer trust. The consequences of this gamble were written in sales figures and service bay logs. In 2025, sales of the Australian F-150 plummeted by a staggering 67%. The situation grew so dire that a nationwide stop sale order was issued at one point, freezing all deliveries. As one critic put it, you stop being a truck owner and start being a beta tester. When a vehicle costing this much spends more time at the dealership for warranty fixes than in an owner's driveway, word spreads fast. The identity of a powerful, dependable tool evaporates, replaced by the frustration of a complex, software-heavy platform that's been physically pulled apart and rewired. One commentator on technology draws a parallel to the F-150 Lightning, arguing that such vehicles have become software platforms on wheels. In Australia, that platform is disassembled and manually tricked into believing it's still whole. The result can feel like a Franken-truck, a high-tech entity at war with its own rewired anatomy. So, is there a way back? Ford is banking on a new facelifted model to revive interest. The positive note is that it's mechanically identical to the current truck, meaning all the lessons learned and fixes from the recall campaigns should, in theory, make it a more solid product from the start. Early signs show a slight sales recovery. However, the brand has sustained deep reputational damage and sits at the bottom of the annual sales race, even behind the newly launched Tundra. The contrast in approach is telling. Toyota subjected 300 US built Tundras to a full 12 months of real-world Australian customer testing before green-lighting the sale. This proactive, ironing out period stands in stark opposition to Ford's reactive recall strategy. The moral of this story extends beyond bolts and recalls. It's a case study in what happens when global ambition meets local reality without sufficient respect for the latter. It doesn't matter how much raw power rumbles under the hood if the market loses faith in the fundamental integrity of the machine. As the saying goes, a legacy of power means nothing without a foundation of trust. For Australia, the American dream truck arrived with a very un-American flaw, a compromised foundation. If this deep dive into the clash of automotive cultures made you think, do us a favor and give this video a like. It helps Winds of Thought bring you more investigations into the unseen forces shaping technology and business. Let's continue the conversation below.